Hello student, today I am going to talk on the topic of guiding principle of adapted physical education program on Alford principle. Introduction. No one type of adapted physical education program is suitable for all school levels or district schools. Possibly this is why there is a very limited amount of material written about the organization and administration of physical education for the differently able. Good organization and administration are essential if differently able children are to be included in our schools and colleges and make them to grow and flourish at a time when educational costs are rising and when pleasure exists to examine carefully the total curriculum offering at all school levels. If one believes in the importance of providing worthwhile physical education program for all students at all school levels, it is then equally important to offer athletic and extramural activities for gifted students, regular physical education and intramural sports for average and differently able students. Differently able students who probably need physical education and recreational experience more than the gifted or the average students have in the past been provided with inadequate experience. In 1951, the American Association for Health, Physical Education and Recreation, the Joint Committee on Health Problem in Education of the American Medical Association and the National Education Association prepare an excellent set of principles that should prove worthwhile to persons interested in organizing, promoting, and evaluating program of adapted physical education. Physical education curricula should include individual sports skills like team sports, aquatic dance, physical and motor pattern skills are prerequisite to community-based recreational sports and physical activity. Thus, physical education should assure differently able children of functional sports and physical activity that could be used in recreational activity in the community. Guiding principle of adapted physical education. It is the responsibility of the school to help the differently able children in ways possible to develop the potentials of each individual entrusted to its care. This is basic tenet of our democratic structure. Number one, there is a need for common understanding regarding the nature of adapted physical education. Number two, there is a need for adapted physical education in school and college. Number three, adapted physical education has much to offer to the individual who faces the combined problem of seeking an education and living most effectively with a unique needs. In adapted physical education, the individual can, number A, be observed and referred when the needs for medical or other services are required. Number B, be provided with opportunity to improve psychological adjustment and social development. Number 4, the direct and related service essential for the proper conduct of adapted physical education should be available to our schools. This service should include number A, adequate and periodic health examination. Number B, classification for physical education based on the health examination and other pertinent tests and observation. Number C, guidance for individuals needing special consideration with respect to physical activity, general health practice, recreational pursuit, vocational planning, psychological adjustment, and social development. Number D, arrangement of appropriate adapted physical education programs. Number E, evaluation and recording of progress through observation, appropriate measurements, and consultation. Number F, integrated relationship with other school personnel, medical and its accessory service, and family to assure continuous guidance and supervisor service. Number G, cumulative record for each individual which should be transferred from school to school. Number 5, it is essential that adequate medical guidance be available to teachers of adapted physical education. The possibility of serious pathology require that program of adapted physical education should not be attempted without the diagnosis, written recommendation, and supervision of a physician. The planned program of activities must be predicted upon medical finding and accomplishment by competent teachers working in medical supervision and guidance. There should be an effective supervision and guidance and referral service between physicians, physical educators, and parents aimed at proper safeguard and maximum benefit of the student. Number 6. Teachers of adapted physical education have a great responsibility as well as an unusual opportunity. Physical educators engaged in teaching adapted physical education should have: Number A, adequate professional education to implement the recommendation provided by medical personnel. Number B, be motivated by the highest ideal with respect to the importance of total student development and satisfactory human relationship. Number C, develop an ability to establish a rapport with students who may exhibit social maladjustment as a result of the special needs. Number D, be aware of the student's attitude toward his or her special needs. Number E, be objective in relationship with students. Number F, be prepared to give the time and effort necessary to help students overcome their difficulty. Number G, consider as strictly confidential information related to personal problems of the student. Number H, stress similarities rather than deviation and abilities instead of disabilities. Number 7, adapted physical education is necessary at all school levels. The student with special needs face as dual problem of overcoming the special needs and acquiring an education that will help him or her to take a place in society as a respected citizen. Failure to assist a student with problem may retard the growth and development process. Offering adapted physical education in the elementary grades and continuing through the secondary school and college will assist the individual to improve their functioning and make adequate psychological and social adjustment. It will be a factor in obtaining maximum growth and development within the limit of their special needs. It will minimize attitude of defeat, fear, and insecurity. It will help the student in facing the future with confidence. Establishing an adapted physical education program. The legal obligation to differently able children are different from normal children. In the past, adapted physical education programs have been developed to accommodate students who have temporary injury, example, pre-operative and post-operative cases, weak muscular culture of problem with posture or body mechanics. Under the law, many of these students are not considered differently able, but school may provide special program for these students. Students classified as differently able are to be provided with IEP as in the least restrictive environment on the regular class. School administration are aware of the mandate to provide classroom instruction and vocational training for differently able students, but frequently they do not understand that the same provision must be made for physical education of the differently able student. When an appropriate physical education program is not provided, it is imperative that steps be taken to bring the school curriculum into compliance with the law. Before an adapted physical education, three things must be accomplished. Number one, it is important to determine the number and type of children classified as differently able in the school or district. Number two, school administrator must be made aware of the federal requirement. Number third, that is, the school or district administration must agree to begin planning to provide appropriate physical education experience for the differently able students. A brief discussion of procedure for the first two of this step and a more extensive discussion of the third step follow. Determining the numbers and types of differently able students. It is important to determine the number and types of differently able children in the school system because this information provides clue to the type of physical education program needed. If only mild mentally differently able students are being served by the school or district, chances are that their needs can be met through mainstreaming. However, if more seriously impaired students are enrolled, a separate adapted physical education program may be needed. The number of differently able students and their condition should be matter of public record. This information should be available for the school psychologist, special education director, school principal or superintendent. It is not necessary at this point to learn the name of the student. Data concerning their age, number and types of the conditions should be gathered. If it is learned that differently able students are enrolled in the district school, the next step can be undertaken. Bringing attention to the problem. School official awareness of the needs for inclusion of appropriate physical education can be increased through discussion of the situation with the principal, superintendent, and director of special education. If any of those administrators are unaware of the exact content of the law, they should be provided with a copy of the Education for All Handicapped Children Act. Their attention should be drawn to the specific section of the law that pertain to physical education agreement that occupational or physical therapists are meeting the physical education needs of the differently able student, and agreement that the law says that all differently able students should be mainstreamed in physical education should not be accepted. The same provision that are being made for classroom instruction of differently able students apply to physical education. That is, whether or not a differently able student need a special physical education program must be determined through testing of the physical and motor functioning of the child. If school administrators continue to ignore the needs to provide appropriate physical education for differently able students, assistance can be obtained from the local, district or state professional teacher association and the Office of Special Education in the State Department of Education. Persistence may be necessary, but with enough effort, the problem will be recognized as an important one. Once the school administrator recognizes the needs for appropriate physical education service, steps must be taken towards establishing a program. Planning programs. The most important step in providing appropriate physical education service for differently able students is long-range planning. Programs that are carefully planned have a much greater chance of meeting the student needs than the programs that are hurriedly put together. Long-range planning involves: number 1, identifying an individual who will be responsible for the program. Number 2, appointing an advisory committee. Number 3, supervisor and advisory committee should survey the district to establish goal for the program, interpret the need for the program, secure support for the program, and agreed on general policy for the program. There should be a long-range plan of organization. Whether a new program is being formulated or a well-established one is being evaluated and changes are being suggested for it. Responsibility for the program should be delegated to one person, usually a supervisor at the district level, or a well-qualified teacher if the program will be limited to one school. In either case, this person should be added by an advisory committee or council. This committee helps in such matters as establishment of policy, formulation of long-range plan, selection and release of students, that is at the school level, and interpretation and promotion of the program. We're coming to the conclusion. The adapted physical education student must be guided to make the most of their social assets like improving, appearing, manner, posture, and personal hygiene. Although desiring to withdraw from a potential painful social situation, they should be encouraged to take part in the group activity whenever possible. Also, it is particularly important that students with unique needs learn many specific games and exercise skills, as well as the joy of winning and the ability of loss gracefully. Adapted physical education offers excellent opportunity for assisting handicapped students in self-understanding and in acquiring a more rewarding lifestyle.